You know what's a significant driving force in one state's public policy efforts? Pastors. This is the CitizenLink report. I'm Stuart Shepard. Louisiana has been passing pro-family laws, and one of the reasons is a group of preachers known as the Pastors Resource Council. Our friend Gene Mills leads one of the groups in our alliance, the Louisiana Family Forum. He shares with us what can happen when churches work together.
Well, you know, Stuart, when we started the Family Forum back in 1997, we did it really with regard to the relationships that we had with churches throughout the state of Louisiana. Then it was an emerging organization. We were very much a new organization. Tony Perkins was a newly elected state representative, and our signature legislation was the covenant marriage law. Ironically, we were preparing for the threats to marriage back then, and I loaned my voice and our network, which was primarily a pro-life network of churches and businessmen, to help Tony pass that bill. And in the process, we learned that the vehicle we used, which was called Heartbeat of Louisiana, a group that I oversaw, was not a perfect fit. I mean, it was adequate, but we were taking into consideration issues beyond just the life issue. And so that was our introduction. And what I did is I loaned a missionary status, because I was considered a missionary of the local church, and the relationship that I had with all these pastors to this newly formatted family organization. And it was a natural fit.
Now, many pastors are happy to get into issues like this. Others are a little reluctant. How do you bridge that divide? How do you get through to them?
By virtue of relationship. You know, the church is a place of trust. The government is a place of distrust. There's a natural tension that exists there. When you have a mediary or an intermediary like a family policy council who can build a relationship in both institutions, it's very natural to do show and tell. We come into the church and we show them the things that are transpiring in the culture and how public policy affects it, and vice versa. We invite the church to visit at the Capitol and find how they can pray for, become aware of, and get to know their public officials. And there are natural touch points that we naturally have a tendency to try to promote.
As you look into the future, what are some of the issues that the pastors are interested in moving in Louisiana?
Right now, the biggest threat is this whole religious expression threat. You know, Stuart, since I've been observing this for the last 2 or 3 decades, we've watched Under God and the Pledge, and God We Trust, the national motto, the 10 Commandments, the whole question of whether you can proselytize your faith when you're delivering relief services overseas. And now the whole question has come down to, can you hold a natural view of marriage and still coexist with a public square that doesn't share that view? We see these as threats against any and all religious expression. And we know that the whole precipice behind the gospel is to communicate the truth. Matthew 28 is the Great Commission. Go ye therefore and tell. And that is literally what's in the crosshairs. Whether or not that's going to be a constitutionally allowed action. And we feel like we need to speak to that issue, and we're attempting to do that with the Marriage and Conscience Act, House Bill 707 by Representative Mike Johnson, down at the Capitol right now.
Now, CitizenLink and the Louisiana Family Forum have been actively engaged in trying to find good candidates and identify them, and then to help voters know who those candidates are. But it's also important, once they get in office, to hold them accountable. And you have a legislative scorecard that's aimed at doing just that.
We do. We put together, back in 2004 when we passed our marriage amendment, what is considered a legislative report card. And we modeled it off of Tom Ridge's old Homeland Security. So the green is good or pro-family. The blue is in that category too. There's the neutral or marginal. And then you get down into the dangerous territory. Some have pejoratively referred to it as the Hall of Shame. We don't quite call it that, but others have. And our goal is to help lawmakers know that we care. We care specifically about our issues. We understand the process, and we are involved in that process. But more importantly, we report back to their home constituencies and to the voting population how they actually vote. And so I issue this report card, but just like, Stuart, when you were a kid and you went to elementary school or junior high, they didn't issue the report card to you, did they?
No.
They sent it to an authority. So what we do is we send it to pastors and churches throughout the state, because we want the home church to know what their lawmaker is doing and we record procedural votes, we record the essential vote, and we basically show the conflict, the worldview conflict that's happening over key issues in the legislative body. It's generally not the 104-0 vote that we score. It's usually the 52-46 with a bunch of absences.
Yeah.
And it's because it tells them where the body lies on that particular issue. I had one lawmaker who, years ago, was a great friend of the local First Baptist Church in North Louisiana. She was out playing golf with her lawmaker or with her pastor's wife, and the subject of our scorecard came up. And I got a call a short while later, and she was very angry because she didn't score very well on the scorecard. And her pastor's wife had brought it to her attention that she was watching and concerned that she wasn't voting for faith issues commensurate with what the Louisiana Family Forum said. She demanded a meeting. So we sat down at my conference table the next day. It took her 4 hours to get here. She wanted to come immediately. But we sat down the next day and I walked her through the process and showed her how this procedural vote was the essential vote. This is the one we scored and why. Here's how she voted. We had a come to Jesus meeting. And do you know that lawmaker has been in the Green Territory ever since and been a warrior for our cause, now serving in a different capacity. But that's just an example of how the church can culturally engage by only loaning a little bit of influence. That didn't take a great deal of effort.
Gene, we are so proud to work alongside Louisiana Family Forum. We appreciate the work you do.
Well, I feel the same way about CitizenLink and Focus, and you guys are the Air Force, and we appreciate the great work y'all are doing nationally.
Gene does terrific work. If you'd like to learn more about the Louisiana Family Forum, you can visit their website at lafamilyforum.org. And to learn about all of the state groups that are allied with CitizenLink, just look for the orange map on our website. And remember to stand tall and be heard.